Hello there, 585ers. This is our Module 4. We are looking at what is a digital native. This is a very short module, frankly. I put it in here because at this point we're talking an awful lot about kids working inside a Google Classroom. Next week we'll be looking at some of the tools that we can use in our Google Classrooms. And it's kind of all comes back to, so what is a digital native? Well, it's a very interesting story. The digital native was a term coined by a gentleman. It's a throwback to our Stratosphere book by the name of Mark Prensky, and he came up with it. And there's been arguments back and forth about it, and that's kind of what I want you to do today. Is to think about, do you think there really are digital natives? Now, what's a digital native? Well, let's look at this. I won't do the whole thing. We'll do it very short. But if we think about how our world has changed, we've gone from analog to digital, tethered to mobile, being carrying everything around with you, isolated to connected, generic to personal, consuming versus creativity. We've gone from closed to open. The thing that I have trouble with this is people say that kids are born into this world ready to use technology, and I don't think that's true. I see plenty of people that Prinsky would label as digital immigrants, me included, sitting in restaurants using their phones. I've seen plenty of older people using Facebook technologies, Instagram technology. So this idea about kids are born to this, I'm not so sure about. I am sure about the fact, and we know this from our readings in Stratosphere, that the rate of change in the world around us is constantly increasing while our education change is very slow. I don't buy this one. I don't feel that we are too mature and we're disconnected from our students. And I'll get to where I think really the argument ought to be. I'm not going to take too much more time. This one's a classic picture that I share because when I was in Toronto one summer, and I normally spent the summer in one of the Edwardian dorms there, which are as close to Hogwarts as you're going to get. And one summer when I got there, they didn't have a room for me. They forgot to put me up. And so they let me spend the night in the Hotel International, which is on the same street on Bloor there in Toronto. And I swear to you, in my bathroom was this setup. There wasn't a computer sitting there, but there was a shelf that I could swing over that I could set my laptop on. But this telephone and everything was definitely there. Found it hilarious. So when we talk about students today, we don't realize there's a disconnect between what they know and what we know or what we experienced. And that's what the Beloit mindset list is all about. Beloit is a college in Wisconsin. It's a wonderful liberal arts college. And they made up this thing where they talk about what do kids now know that they wouldn't realize that we had experienced. And here's Prinsky. So let me drop down here, and I'm going to run this little video for just a little bit. Remember our good friend here, Mr. McLuhan? I think I still can't get where he said that in 1967. So I think we can, I'll let you watch the rest of it. I think we can realize here that where we are different as students today is in this area of that we're always on. Technology has been readily available. Collaboration is expected. And that's why I think the Google Classroom is such a powerful tool that we all should start understanding. Also understanding, though, that that powerful tool will change 5 years. And so what we really have to realize is that technology is always changing. We have to be prepared for change, and we have to be prepared for what our students really are. I'm going to get to that in just a second. Let's do this one real fast. Again, I won't do the whole thing. We'll stop it right there because that last slide, I want to get to that. So when it talked about that 70% of kids, 4 to 6, have had access to a computer. Well, I would argue that everybody has had access to a computer. But here's what I think is so different about what we're missing here. And it isn't necessarily that kids are born with iPods and iPhones and iPads and computers in their hands, but they're born with something that is innate in all human beings. So I'm going to run this one.
All right. So these are what Baby George and handstands have taught me about learning. This is George. He's trying to learn how to go down these steps. And you can see, like, look at the joy as he does this. Like, look at that smile. Like, it's fun. It's actually fun to learn. As I've been doing this, I've discovered I have all kinds of incapacities that make it very difficult. So for one, like, I have terrible wrist flexibility. I have no balance, no core strength. and so I've had to work on all those things. Second one, you're not alone on the journey. People have done this before, and they get really excited when they see me doing this because they're like, hey, I've done that. I've learned how to do that. Let me show you. Thirdly, failure is fun. It's fascinating. Watch. He just keeps getting back up. This is, months and months, hundreds of falls. Like, every time you fall, I learned something just now. You guys, if you don't fail a few times, you haven't pushed yourself hard enough. Because failure is where you're going to learn. Fourth, growth is real, and he finally gets it. And then he just, like, keeps going, like he loves it, right? Like, this is practice. This is joy. And it's amazing. Look at this. I see, like, counting this. Oh, yeah, that was great. All right.
Okay, so here's my premise. I believe that kids are not necessarily born with the capacity to manipulate technology. What I do believe is they were born without fear. And I believe that technology is the patient teacher. I have a 2-year-old great nephew that comes and visits with me. It's a joy. And he sits with his iPad. And at first, he would get very frustrated and angry over the fact that when he would tap the iPad, something may happen or something may not happen that he wanted. But then he would keep coming back to it and playing with it and figuring it out. This is a direct callback to Fullen and the Skinny. As simple as that. If we help kids understand technology to get to the skinny, then their natural inclination toward collaboration toward trying over and over again. And if we don't penalize failure, if we make failure a part of the learning process, then there's a beautiful fit. What I want you to do is to watch those videos and then read these two articles. This one's really good. It basically does a nice job of laying out what the whole debate is about. And then here you go. Here's the seminal article. Here's the one that Prensky wrote that came up with the digital native, digital immigrant. See if you agree or disagree. Do you think this premise of his still holds up? Do we still have this sort of dichotomy? I get very nervous around binaries. It's either this way or that way, because I don't think that that's really true. That I think that there's always a little bit of both. So that's what I've given you as your resource material in this particular module. And what I want you to do then is you can choose between one of two tools. We're going to be looking at a tool called Make Beliefs Comics and a tool called Zimmer Twins. Either one you may use for this particular assignment. And here they are. So let me show you how they work. They're very, very simple, and they're a lot of fun. And what's really nice about them is they're readily available to you to use with your students. In other words, you don't have to pay a lot of money to have an account. They're both free. You can set up the Zimmer Twins so you can have a school or a classroom account if you need that kind of control. So our setup is using these two. Can you illustrate or illuminate the similarities and differences between digital natives and digital immigrants responding to the prompt? Is the digital native real? So when I go into Zimmer, let me give you a heads up. One of the things you have to realize is the Zimmer Twins is a Flash-based product. So you might get that message that pops up on your screen about, do you want to use this? And you'll have to tell it. Let me see if I can do that for you here. So I go up here and I go make a movie. And as you can see, it's saying, hey, you need Flash. So I already have it, so I'm going to click here. And it pops this up. And when I click on that, I have to allow the Flash. And there we are. Okay. Now, I can use a prompt, and here they are, or I can make it from scratch. And it basically will walk you through how to make a movie right here. From scratch, it's very simple. I have these 4 tabs across the top here. One tab is for putting in where people are talking. You will not be recording anyone's talking. You'll be typing all this in. Here are people doing some action. Here are close-ups of different emotions. And then here's where you can have the sort of beginning screen, ending screen that you want. So I'm going to go ahead and pick a beginning screen of a television. Or, know what? I'm going to use an iPhone or a phone. And I'm going to basically just type in the prompt. And as you can see, it puts it in down here. If I have a slide that I've accidentally put in, like this was a television, just drag it out of the timeline. Okay, just drag them out of the timeline. That's all you have to do. Okay, so we'll go ahead and let's do that again. And like we talked about in other It's saving it as we go. All right, so I have a beginning slide. Now I'm going to go in here and find something that I might want to use. And as you can see, what it does is it allows me to pick between characters. So I have Edgar and I have Eva. So Edgar is talking on the phone and I can decide where I want him talking. So I'm going to have him in his bedroom. Okay. And then the next slide, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put the same slide in, but this time when I click on it, what I can do is I can now switch it over to Eva, and I can put her in her bedroom, or I can put her anywhere. You know, it's up to her, where you want these people to be. Very, very simple, very easy to do. If you want to put in a emotion or an action, I should say, you can do that. And just keep working your way through it. It's simple. When you are finished, as I said, it always saves your movies. Up here it says save movie, and it'll ask for a title. And you save it. And if you want to watch it, okay, you get the idea. Now, the way this works is you're basically just going to take the URL up here at the top, copy it, and then you're going to paste that into the assignment in our module. That easy. Make-believe comics. This is one of my favorite tools. Again, because it's so easy to use. You come in, you click on create your comics, and you're going to give it a title. As you can see, I started one already. And I'll show you how it works. So I don't like this guy here. I'm going to start over. Let me start over so I can show you how everything works. So here you are. The assignment says 3 panels. Well, there's your 3 panels right there. Down below is where all your characters, you can have people talking to each other. You can have digital enthusiasts. So if you want to start right off the bat with someone using technology, here's your talk balloons. You're probably not going to use the greeting cards. Backgrounds, objects, words, so on. So let's go ahead and pick a background. And as you can see, I'm sliding things over here so I can see what I'm doing, or I can see what I can pick from. And I'll go ahead and I'll grab that one. You go back, and now you go into your characters. And when you pick these characters that are in here, they give you a series of choices. So I'm going to go ahead and pick him. Now I can move him around on the screen. Down here, I can change his size. I can change if I need to put it in front of something, and I can flip it. Okay. So let's get another character that we can have in here with him. And let's see if I can find my little guy again. There he is. So I'm going to put him in as well. And I think I'll put him in with a plaid shirt and the arms crossed. Now I'm going to put him over here. And I need to make him a little bit smaller so he fits into the frame here better. Okay. Now I'll bring him up here. Whoops. I got to turn, by the way, this is something I always forget. You have to turn it off. And then you have to go over here and select move again. So I'm going to bring him up. Now I do need to flip him because he's facing the wrong direction. So I'm going to have him turn around and then I'll turn it off by hitting the move again. Okay, so now I'm ready for them to have a dialogue. So I'm going to go back to where we have those talk bubbles. And I'm going to put a talk bubble above the man with the newspaper. And I'm going to click in here to write. Do you kids realize how much technology it took to put a man on the moon? Okay, so that's what he's saying to the kid. So now we'll go over here and we'll go back and we'll start looking for our background again. Remember, you want to keep it consistent. I'll go over here to my background. There's no way that you can, I mean, you could start off, I guess, by putting the background in each one of your slides, but there's no copy paste. You can't go in and say, this is the background I'm going to use for all of my slides. You can't copy and paste it in. And so I'll go back now and I'll find my character. And let's see, my little guy again. Here he is. And I'm going to plop him in here. And I might make him a little bit smaller. Just a little bit. Okay. Go back to here. And now I'll go back and I'll find what he's going to say to the guy. Okay, and then our final panel, again, we'll go back and do the whole thing. One of the things I really like about this program is how easy it is to work within, and the fact that it requires kids to write and to think. And I like the fact that it is, it has just enough. It doesn't have too many things in it that would, you know, you spend all your time trying to figure out what it is that you're trying to do. I'll put our guy back in the shot again. And I'll go ahead and put the kid back in the shot again as well, just so we can have them both in here. And then I can put the talk bubbles back in. Okay. Now, the other thing I can do is, if I wanted to, I could have put in my kid here. I can put an object in his hand. Let's see. There's plenty of technology objects in here. I can slide that over and have it in his hand. Okay. And again, we can go back to our talk balloons, and we can put in our talk balloons. And my talk balloon's a little big, so I'm going to make it smaller. I'll go up here and click on that. Doesn't need to be that huge. Need to move it over a little bit. And then we'll let the kid have the final word. Or thought, actually. Let's have him have a thought. Now that one's a little small, so let's go ahead and we'll make it a little bit. Yeah, there it goes. We're good. Now, what do you do with it when you get it finished? So what you're going to do is you're going to go up here, make sure you put in a name, your title, I should say, and of course your name. Put all that up here so we can have it. It's, like I said, it is saving this as we go along. Now, this is going to throw you, but just trust me. Click on Print Email, scroll down, and Save Image to Disk. So you're going to save what you've made as a file. And it will save it as a PNG file. And you're going to put it on your computer. And that's it. Now, for the assignment, all you have to do, let's review what it says here. Is you're creating either a Zimmer Twins or Make Beliefs comics. That's all you have to do. So in the assignment, what you would do is, and I'm going to come up here to the assignments right now. For if you're doing the Zimmer Twins, all you need to do is copy that URL, like I said, and paste it in here where you normally would put your writing, and you submit it. Okay, that easy. If you're going to use our you're basically going to, if you use the make beliefs, you're going to go in, you're going to find your file that was the make believe file, and you're going to open that and you're going to submit that. Okay, that's all there is to it. I've decided, even though next week is spring break for U of L, that I'll go ahead and come in here Thursday night, and we'll move on to our next module. This is definitely a callback to what Dr. Fullen talks about in his book about the irresistibly engaging. And I hope that I can give you some really cool things to play with. And the idea here is you'll put some of these, one of these, into your Google Classroom that you've made. So as you can see here, I've got Buncee, simulations, interactive resources, the KET, PBS learning. And the reason why I picked these is they're very simple and they have hooks that will put them into your Google Classroom. And then under assessment, we'll go over the different ways that you can do assessments. And then we'll take a look at Google Forms, Nearpod, and Edpuzzle. And that's all I'll put in. And the idea of this is that you're going to find one tool that you could use as a way of sharing information with kids. The other will be you'll create a little formative assessment using one of these Google Forms, Nearpod, or Edpuzzle. They all have strengths, and they all are very, very easy to use, I think. The Forms is built into the Google Classroom. It's probably the easiest one to use. The Nearpod has stuff already created. In the Nearpod, you can actually create an interactive exercise where kids have to, that kids can do either in classroom or as homework. Edpuzzle, same thing. Edpuzzle is a really powerful tool to use with YouTube videos. That's its claim to fame. So if you want to have a YouTube video in your Google Classroom that does something more than just play a YouTube video, you can actually put formative assessment into it. You can actually add your own commentary into the video. Edpuzzle is a really, really powerful tool. Nearpod is, goodness gracious, it's its own industry now. There are people out there who make money being Nearpod contributors. And as I said, Google Forms is the easy one. Alrighty, that's all I have. I'll see you next Thursday, and we'll jump into this wonderful Module 5. See you then.